Hey everyone, it's Ashley Angeline Kumar, the Confidence Coach. I'm a Master Certified Parenting Coach and a certified kids self-esteem and self-confidence coach, among other things that I do as well. And I'm going to talk to you about development. So something we don't get to walk away from when they give us the baby at the hospital, or maybe you had a home birth, is a manual. What to do, what to say, what to expect, how they develop, how their brains work, how does this all work, right? We didn't know because we don't remember the first 5 or 6 years of our life, so we don't know that. And here we are now raising these children, and we don't necessarily have a manual that comes with it. So I'm very lucky as a parent coach that I am able to provide many of my clients what I call the manual, and it's a combination of different things that gives them access to this manual. Now, I'm going to lay down some stuff around development. It's so important. You know, there's this saying that we're not raising kids, we're raising adults. That's not actually true. I think it's a meme that ought to be deleted from the internet world. We are raising children who grow into adults. So what we do with our children now and how we show up and how we interact with them and the connections we create now impacts them in their adulthood. Absolutely, right? But they are not adults. We're not raising adults, fully developed, grown people who can do everything that adults can. And this is not just physically and what they can do physically and developmentally. Physically, up here, cognitively, processing wise, nervous system wise, how can they manage this and this at the same time? We didn't get a manual for that, and they don't come with instructions for themselves on how to do that. So we got to ask ourselves sometimes, is it possible that I am expecting my child to do or be able to do, or that they should be able to do something that developmentally they're not able to right now? Now, I want to lay it out that every child develops at a different rate, different way. Different influences impact how a child develops. Different traumas, different neurological and neurodivergent factors play into how your child will grow and develop. Okay, whether or not they're cognitively at the same level as other children in their age group or not is going to vary on a variety of different factors. So let's put that down on the table. Now, what does show up often in many of my coaching sessions is many parents have admitted that they are often expecting more of their children than they are probably developmentally able to do at their age, okay? Or for their specific individual composition, mind-body composition, that they're expecting more than their child can probably do, process, cognitively think of, logically process, and all these different aspects, that they are actually, many parents are saying they are expecting more of their child than probably that child is able or willing to bring forward. Now I say willing because sometimes it's hard being a kid. Kid stress is a real thing. And so sometimes we just as kids, get real tired of having to do all this processing and learning and growing every day. Oh my gosh, that's exhausting. It's exhausting to be a kid sometimes. Okay, so let's get back on track here. Are we potentially setting up ourselves and our children and our connection with our child for failure or in frustration by having this idea that they should be able to do something in a particular way at a particular age by a particular time? This is really important. I'm going to go through just a general list for just the developmental age of 5 to, let me take a look at it here, 5 to 8 years old, so early childhood-ish time. Now, this is not a blanket statement. This is not a black and white thing. It is so important that to understand that age is not a predictor of maturity. Growth proceeds in children at different rates, and different things impact what, how, when, why a child processes the way they process. Okay? But let's go through it anyway. And also, you're going to get to know some ideas and strategies, possibly some tools that you can walk away from with this video, from this video about how you can approach certain things you're trying to work with or work on with your child. Okay, so ages 5 to 8, early childhood. This is not toddlerhood, okay? So I work with some parents who have younger kids, and they're expecting their child to operate like a 5 to 8-year-old. Now I'm going to talk about a 5 to 8-year-old group, and you'll see that you might actually be expecting your toddler, 3-year-old, to operate like an 8-year-old. Not going to work. You're going to find that it's frustrating for both you and your child, and very likely to lead to disconnection and even more behavioral challenges, okay? So between age 5 to 8. Now I want to let you know where I'm getting this information from. It is from the University of Iowa, and it's Ages and Stages of Youth Development. You can find this document online if you are looking for it from me. I will send it to you. And this, I'm doing a video because people like to watch video, and you can look at this and read this and learn it for yourself. It might be a little bit difficult to understand, so I'm going to break it down a little bit for us, okay? So, characteristics of the age group and the implications and applications. Deal? Again, like I said, if you want a hard copy of this, email me, get on my email list. Yeah? And then I can send you this. Okay. Or you can even Google it. So at this age, 5 to 8, they're at a period of slow, steady growth, right? So we want to have multisensory active learning experiences. So if you're trying to teach your child a particular thing like respect, yeah, lecturing your child at this age or reasoning with them is not going to be as effective as if you involve multiple senses. Multisensory learning is what I call it, an active learning experience, okay? They learn if they're best. They learn best if they're physically active. So offering learning opportunities that incorporate activities they like. Maybe they like games. Maybe they like playing with dolls. Maybe they like playing with cars, right? So if we're playing and we're interacting with our children, by the way, I'm a big proponent of playful parenting. So if you're playing with your children, let's say we're playing cars. I have a son and a daughter in this age group. My son's a little bit younger. But let's say we're playing cars and we're talking about brushing teeth. You know, like, I have 2 little figures here. Hey, Mr. Car. Hi, Mr. Car. Let's go brush our teeth. Oh, I don't like to brush my teeth. Oh, really? What don't you like about it? And then I go ahead and we use the characters to talk about this daily routine of hygiene, which fits the values of health and well-being, so that our children can have a healthy mouth, have a healthy body, and so we can integrate these learning opportunities with playful parenting, and you're going to reach the child more on their level, which means the information is going to be retained better. Okay. They are learning how to use their bodies and mastering physical skills. Okay, so if we're expecting that our 5 to 8-year-old or younger child can walk, talk, sit, stand, hold a position like a 25-year-old or a 30-year-old, we're in for some frustrating experiences, right? What just came into my brain is kids on an airplane. There can be, I don't know if you've ever witnessed it, but a parent who's all constantly telling the child to sit down and sit still and be still, or pop an electronic device in front of them. Is it really realistic to expect a little person to sit on a tube made up of a bunch of seats and sit still, buckled in for an extended period of time? Is it realistic? They really want to use their bodies. And the child brain is impulsive until the logical part of the brain develops, which is past age 25. So they're going to want to impulsively move, right? And the more we teach our children to restrict their impulsive movements, the more we tell them to negate their bodies. And when you learn to study, like me, psychology later in life, you learn that, we've disassociated from our body. We can't feel what we need to feel. We don't notice the sensations. We've tuned out the hunger. We have tuned out different impulses to move. So maybe we've been hunched over in a position typing for a long time and we didn't even realize, oh man, my neck and my shoulders, until we move 3 hours later. We learn to disconnect from our bodies if we continually put our kids in a position where we're basically telling them, ignore your body, right? So they want to use their body. They are learning to master physical skills at this time. They're more interested in process than product. So they don't really care what the end result as much looks like of something. They want the process, the learning period, the learning piece. How does this work? And how does this work? And how does that work? And how do these two pieces fit together? The process. They are looking to learn, like they are developing those neural pathways in their brain right now as they explore the world. So if we're constantly having this experience with our children where we are implicating them based on the result or the outcome they are achieving, we're not meeting them at their developmental age and stage. Okay? If we're focused more on what's the outcome of this effort, what's the solution, what's the answer to the problem, rather than let's discover the journey, let's enjoy the journey, let's experience this, okay? We're not meeting them where they need to be. And I want to also integrate and intersect here. This is where perfectionism can take root. If we're constantly looking at what the outcome needs to be or what it should be, okay? So it's totally okay for this age group to, actually developmentally totally okay, to want to start a project and not really bother if it's finished, or do it kind of a little bit and good, I'll move on to the next activity. Okay? This is, for this age group developmentally, pretty normal. Okay? They are very wrapped up in themselves. Makes sense, right? The ego identity is developing between this age group from, I would say, from 2 to 8, is where they're really developing an identity of who they are and what role they play in the world. And this is an incredible time for empowering our children with important phrases and empowering language that helps them see what and who they truly are, their divine essence, and the way they contribute to the world around them, and the way they can contribute to their inner world as well. So there's a huge opportunity here to do that. Using make-believe, role-playing activities, books, and integrating and then talking about the books, and not just reading a book like neutral tone and this is what happened in the book, but like really engaging with children in a story or in an activity can really help them explore their world, but also explore other people. So they're developing their own identity, but part of that process is, how do we interrelate with other people? And unless we're shown an empowering way to relate to other people, we might have trouble in our relationships later on in life. Making friendships, keeping friendships, figuring out which friends to choose based on values and things like that. So there's some things to look at there. They are learning how to be friends at this age. So sometimes there's, as parents, we get concerned like, oh, are they going to have any friends? What if they don't have any friends? What if they're ostracized? Well, between 5 and 8 is typically where we learn how to make friends. So if we have this expectation that our 3-year-old should have friends, great. But I don't think that developmentally in the brain, logically, they process it as, I'm making a friendship here. We can talk about friendships, absolutely cognitively place that information in their brain. But are we having the expectation that they should be able to make friends easily, or that they shouldn't hit their friends, or all these different things that can come into play? Right now, they're just learning how to make and be friends. What do relationships look like? What do friendships look like? And there, again, are so many empowerment opportunities. They might have more than one best friend. And one of those best friends, in my opinion, has got to be themselves. Okay? We want them to be able to, so in this age group, sometimes it can be intimidating to be thrown into a group of like 30 kids. So, imagine kindergarten, right? If it's a huge kindergarten class and one teacher, maybe one TA, that can be really overwhelming to the child's system if they're coming from home to kindergarten, right? And it depends on the child. Maybe you've given them the other opportunities to really be part of large groups. And the thing that we need to take a look at is the child feeling safe in those large groups or not? And when I say safe, it's not about physical safety, like someone's going to hurt them. It's psychological, emotional, inner felt safety that we want to look at. So if we're transitioning our children towards group activities, maybe we have 2 or 3, and then 3 or 4, and then 4 and 5, and kind of expand the group according to that, and do it slowly for the child. If our child has challenges around being with big groups, and we're wanting them to be able to feel safe within their bodies. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff that's related to that. So I'm not going to say it's just that one piece, okay? But we can see that this is the expectation that they should be able to have friends, make friends, keep friends at this age. Probably not as developmentally realistic, but exploring friendships, absolutely. Exploring friendships, bringing in concepts around friendships at this age, giving them empowering language and tools around developing friendships, super important. Okay. Thinking is concrete, a little bit more black and white thinking. And this is where is a great time. If their thinking is black and white at this time, we can learn to understand them better. And where I come in with the self-esteem, self-confidence approach is if they have negative self-talk, right? Like, I can't do this. Then they've made this decision in their brain, I can't do this. And it can feel so black and white for them. It can feel so concrete. And we want them to be able to see past that. But is it developmentally expected that they should be able to? Not really. We can continue to give them the tools and the information and understand that this is a journey. There's no target at the end of this. So I'm going to do three books about empathy and my kid's going to get it. Or 3 books about positive self-talk and they're going to get it. This is going to be a process and it's a journey. And so they're going to need to see that, no, my thinking can be flexible. I can have a different thought. I can choose a different thought. This is going to take time and exposure. Okay? So to expect a 5 to 8-year-old to have flexible thinking is not necessarily a developmentally appropriate approach. Their thinking is a little more black and white. And this is where we get to provide them felt safety to experience. No, there are other options. There are other possibilities around a certain thing. Cool. I think that's enough for this time. And I think this is going to have to be a series of videos. So I will see you next time on, what should we call this series? Developmental ages and stages. Interpreted by the confidence coach, Ashley Angeline Kumar. Let's call it that. All right. Thank you for being with me. And we'll do some more in video too.